G'day there, guys. In your opinion, how many cats are too many cats? You know, for like when we move in together and No? Okay. It's your main man Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmiTheA. Now, if you love today's bloody good stuff, I want you to sit back, relax, click that content button, the like button down below, and enjoy the stories we have. Thank you. Posted by user Just Call Me Phil 35. Titled, Am I the a-hole for not telling people my missing cousin is staying with me right away? It is the middle of the night, and my phone won't stop ringing because of my family. To try and keep this short, my cousin Jake got outed about 4 or 5 days before his 18th birthday in the summer. His parents, my aunt and uncle, made arrangements for him to be sent to one of those awful camps that claim they could cure him. A kid in his community was forced to go and came back and was clearly not well, so Jake didn't want to go. Jake ran away from home and jumped from one family house to another. His folks didn't file a missing person report because they didn't want to look bad to their neighbors. They just told them that he went to that camp willingly. He disappeared in the middle of October and turned up in my city a week later. After making sure that he was safe to bring home, my wife and I allowed him to stay. He didn't want me to tell the rest of the family for a while because those people at the camp keep showing up to take him. I made sure to talk to a lawyer, who assured Jake that they cannot take him. 3 days ago, he told his parents he was there. A few hours later, those damn camp people showed up, but they were unable to take him. My family has been blowing up my phone for the last 2 days, angry that I didn't tell someone sooner. Well, Jake didn't feel safe yet and still doesn't. I wanted to make sure that he was ready. Still, even those that want to protect Jake are upset with me for hiding him. Am I the a-hole for not telling anyone that he is here until he was ready? I'm struggling to comprehend how you think you're the a-hole for protecting him from such insane parents like that are convinced those camps are a good thing. I understand how everyone thinking he's dead or missing and you lying by omission is a bad thing here, but I think it was fine given the context. Jake didn't feel safe yet and still doesn't. He obviously didn't feel safe with the family when the camp stuff was forced on him and no one else came to help him out. Surely they all knew what was going on. Like, their fears and concerns for Jake's disappearing is warranted, but that doesn't change the fact that it seems like a lot of them are complicit in this. That makes them, in my mind, inherently the a-holes in this situation. Keep protecting Jake, OP, not the a-hole. And OP puts an edit saying, wow, thank you for all the awards. I don't deserve them, but thanks. Since I'm drinking coffee and slowly going through the comments, I thought I should say a few things. First off, while I figured I wasn't the a-hole for hiding him from my more narrow-minded family, it was those that really wanted to help Jake that made me feel guilty. They were all scared out of their minds and wanted the peace to know that he was okay. I felt bad for not telling them. Though I am sure they wouldn't have turned him in, I felt bad because we were working on keeping him safe. Also, we got a lawyer who got the police on the lookout for those camp people in case they try anything. Jake is not going out alone until we are sure he is safe. Third, we're looking on how to get his paperwork, like his birth certificate, here, because no way he trusts his parents to just hand them over. My granny-in-law is talking to some people that could help. Fourth, Jake says hello and thank you. Oh, and we're Catholic, not Christian. We're our own special type of jackasses. Edit, once again, okay, you're right about the Catholic-Christian thing. I was raised to split hairs, I apologize. Now in the comments, Sliced Nugget says, not the a-hole, but weird that you'd think you'd be an a-hole for protecting him from those screwed up conversion camps. Keep protecting him. Stick to it, man. Make sure he knows he has a safe place to stay with you. Family guilting can be a weird and strong thing, but yeah, definitely not the a-hole. Oh, that's true. I didn't even think of that part since I'm looking from an outside perspective. My bad, OP. Just remember you're doing the right thing for your cousin by keeping him safe. I think the part that messed OP up the most was the guilt trips from family that wanted his cousin protected from the conversion camp people. When you have people who have the same view, but are supportive of the opposition, it can really make a mess of your thoughts on right and wrong. OP, not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, screw those people, screw homophobes that think being gay is something that needs to be cured in the first place. Screw people that think parents have any right to do that to their kids. Good on you for protecting him. Not to get all political, but I'm gonna. The 11th Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that conversion therapy is somehow protected by the First Amendment. I can't even roll my eyes hard enough. It should be called what it is. Torture. Then screw the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals too. You need to call the police, since the camp people are trying to kidnap him. They know he doesn't want to go, but keep showing up. He needs a restraining order on these people. This is very sinister. If the camp people show up again, call the police, take pictures, document everything. Ask Jake to write down every time they've come to get him and if there's other witnesses. You're not the a-hole. In fact, you're a saint to protect Jake from his clearly dangerous family and even took him to a lawyer. Jake didn't and doesn't feel safe because he clearly isn't. There is a cultish organization following him and trying to kidnap him. Jake clearly can't trust the rest of the family, so please keep supporting him until he gets on his feet. He should file one against his parents ASAP. These camp people aren't above kidnapping him the first chance they get. It's been done many times. He needs a paper trail leading to his parents, so if he gets snatched, the police have a viable lead. That would be best too. They don't have his best interests at heart at all. Who knows what they're capable of? It's best that they know as little as possible about Jake's whereabouts. And now on to the update. First off, I want to say thank you to everyone for their comments and advice. Thank you for saying I was not the a-hole, because I was doubting myself. Regarding the camp people, we have footage of them coming up to our house and other family members' houses looking for Jake. So we have a clear image of what they look like. I already warned those people not to come near our house or Jake, and they seem to listen, but Jake is still not going to leave the house without someone. I talked to the police about it, and they cannot do anything unless these people break the law, but they will keep an eye out. Well, better than nothing, I guess. Regarding the paperwork, my aunt and uncle refuse to hand over the papers. They want Jake to either come home or go with those people. Neither is happening. We are looking up ways to get Jake's paperwork without them, but someone suggested calling the police and explaining what happened. While I don't usually want to go that far, that is what we are probably going to have to do. Regarding therapy, Jake agreed to it. I'm getting a referral from my own therapist, so Jake is going to get help there. Regarding family, some family threatened to come over to try and make Jake go back home. Others, while understanding why I didn't tell them Jake was here, are still upset with me. It'll be a while before I can smooth things over with them. Regarding Jake, he is safe. We have him set up comfortably here. My granny-in-law pretty much adopted him, and I'm so sure she's going to put him in her will. He is safe, surrounded by people that support him, and I'm going to see about finding him some work when he's ready to try it. And again, thank you everyone for your messages and advice. We will be using them, and Jake says thank you all as well. Now in the comments, Tribal Mog says, if you're in the States and Jake is over 18, he can get his birth certificate and social reissued. You should have a local government office that can do so. My husband lost his at some point and we had to get his reissued. Also, as someone who also acquired a family member due to parental intolerance of their gender identity, you're doing good. We got threatened with various legal actions, but it was all hot air since there was no actual basis. So good luck to you all. It might be a bit trickier if Jake doesn't have a state-issued ID or driver's license yet, but it can be done. Start off with the Social Security office. Call them, explain the circumstances, and ask what you can bring to establish identity for him to request a new card. He will have to go in person to do this. Do not pay any websites for this service as they are fraudulent. Depending on what state, you may be able to order the birth certificate online. With both of those things, he ought to be able to get a state ID and license. Since I didn't see the suggestion in either here or in the original post, you and your cousin should be on guard against identity theft from his parents. While this is certainly a secondary consideration, his parents may go all vindictive and try to F up his life to force him to come back to them. Or they may just want to get revenge, or make the ludicrous claim that since he abandoned them, he owes them money and they are entitled to take it out in his name. His parents have all of the necessary information to create new credit accounts and the like for him, then run up huge bills. Once you get his ID situation set, make sure that there are potential fraud alerts at all of the credit agencies, change passwords and the like. Use two-factor authentication, set up bank and brokerage accounts at places that his parents don't use, etc. You may want to check with a domestic violence shelter for advice about this, since they will have seen this sort of thing before. Brian Krebs, a noted computer security journalist, has a good online guide that I can recommend. Posted by user AMA Service Dog, titled, "Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend to stop teasing our dog?" So last night, my boyfriend and I were laying down in bed. Every night he gives our dog a treat. For whatever reason, he felt the need to tease her about it. He set the treat on his chest. She's my service dog, so she knows she's not allowed to just snatch a treat and run. She sniffed at it a few times and then laid down, watching him attentively. He then moved it to the side of the bed, waiting for her to jump off to try and get it before putting it back on his chest. She came back into the bed and laid down, watching him closely. He did this another time before I told him that he was being mean and to just give her the treat. He said she was fine and they were playing. I told him I was worried he was going to teach her bad habits, like snatching the treat, etc., and to just give it to her. He was annoyed, but he gave it to her. Today he is still annoyed, saying he felt like it was my way or the highway, and that he feels like he can't play with her anymore. That he can't disagree with me about her because she is my service dog. I still don't think I did anything wrong. I didn't yell or snap at him. No, she wasn't frustrated when I told him to give her the treat, but I would prefer that she isn't pushed to that level of frustration. He kept saying he wouldn't have. It wasn't even as long as I made it sound to be. He really likes to tease and push at boundaries. I can be controlling, especially when it comes to her well-being and training, because she is my literal lifeline. He's super annoyed, I'm super annoyed, and I'd appreciate outside perspective. Am I the a-hole? How does he not understand that he's acting like such a child in this circumstance? It's not a normal pet dog where it's fine for them to have some bad habits if the family is okay with it. Like, I see it all the time in my personal experience. Whether that's morally okay or not is up to you, I guess, or up to that family. But in this situation, he has no legs to stand on. It isn't his dog, he doesn't pay for it or train it, and he doesn't rely on it to keep him alive. He's doing OP a massive disservice by teaching it these habits and then getting up OP for telling him off. Obviously, OP knows their dog better than this boyfriend. Why does he insist to keep this bitterness going just so he can get his way? I fully support that he was open and honest about his feelings and being annoyed. He didn't bottle that up and let it become more passive-aggressive resentment, so that's thumbs up. But he went looking for an answer, and he got it. If he refuses to change his attitude to that situation now that OP has shut him down, then he's an asshole for that. Plain and simple. Not the a-hole OP. Now in the comments, Coffee Hobgoblin says, "Not the a-hole. Service dogs are crazy expensive to train, and I would be upset if my boyfriend wasn't respecting that the relationship as service dog and protectee needs to be the top priority. That relationship needs to be maintained above his as a regular dog-human relationship with the dog. This is one boundary that I think you are well within your rights to hold firm on. OP replies, I've definitely played games with her where she's not allowed to take a treat. This helps prevent her from picking up food when she's working. Unsanitary and potentially dangerous if she were to eat something toxic, but I always reward her once she shows restraint, as this encourages the restraint. He didn't offer her a reward, just was amused by her eager attention. Doesn't matter, your dog, and a service dog no less. His attempt to frame this as your way or the highway is despicable. Not his decision by any stretch of the imagination. 100% not the a-hole. He can't disagree with you. She's not his pet, she is a medical necessity for you. What you say goes, bottom line. You need to set a firm boundary, and if he can't respect it, he can get the hell out. I can be controlling, especially when it comes to her well-being and training because she is my literal lifeline. It sounds to me like that's what you're meant to do, not the a-hole. I don't get why the boyfriend thinks he has a say in this. And now on to the update. So I spoke with my therapist about it, and she reinforced the not the a-hole judgment I was given. I tried to talk to my boyfriend about it, and he got very defensive about how he didn't do anything wrong. A week later, he was playing video games. He turned around, took the toy she was playing with, and turned back to his game. I knew he would hold it until he died in his game, so I asked him to give it back. He wasn't even watching her body language to see if she was upset by it, and said, "Are we really gonna do this again?" I told him no, but was seething. A few days later, I asked him to discuss it with his therapist. His therapist gave him some tools on how to discuss it with me. His therapist also suggested that he no longer should be involved with our dog in any capacity. Our conversation last night basically devolved into me yelling at him about how he screwed with my service dog's training and how scary that is for me. I can't function without her. He kept insisting he didn't mess her training. I was able to calm down enough to explain how what he did could mess with her training. He pretty much said he didn't want to be involved with her training, to which I explained, every time a person interacts with a dog, trains them. He shot back with fine. If she wants a treat, I'll just give it to her. I'll just throw the ball and not play games with her. This created a new argument where I told him we weren't resolving the issue and he was just deflecting so he didn't have to deal with it. I also began to shut down at the idea that he didn't want to be involved with my dog anymore. She adores him. He realized I was shutting down and begins to ask why. I explained how upsetting it was to hear he didn't want to be involved with the other, most important part of my life. He explained he would still love her and be affectionate, but he didn't feel comfortable with any of the things that might. He continued to pull me out of my shutdown with jokes and reassurances. This is an established request from me. This morning he called me from work, apologizing profusely. He told me I was right. I had criticized him, and it caused him to lash out because he didn't want to be vulnerable. He said he was sorry. Once he got home, he apologized again. We discussed healthier ways for us to communicate in the future to avoid us triggering each other. He was surprised I was willing to forgive him and grateful that I push him to face his issues. Everyone has issues, but he's willing to work on his. It's not my job to fix him, but to call him out when he starts BS. He has to do the work, and he does the same for me. Thank you for the reassurances, everyone. Now in the comments, Sthetic says, I had criticized him, and it caused him to lash out because he didn't want to be vulnerable. It's not that I'm an a-hole, it's that I have emotional issues that prevent me from being vulnerable. Let's talk about my feelings instead of yours. You know that book about abusive partners? Why does he do that? That's always linked in this sub? Last weekend, I actually read it. Out of interest. 75% of it was stuff I already knew because it was paraphrased often on this sub and other relationship subs. I did learn a couple of new things. One is that an abusive man might make himself seem like a deeply troubled man with mysterious, complicated motivations and behaviors, especially if he's the type that's not a macho caveman, but a sensitive feminist guy. Fights will turn into him and his issues, which sounds alright. He gets deep into psychobabble and therapy. It sounds positive, especially when he admits that he has some sort of problem, maybe because his mummy didn't hug him enough, or his daddy didn't let him express his emotions. Except, it's a smokescreen to hide the simple truth. He controls you on purpose because it gives him a benefit. I'm not qualified in any way to say that your man is abusive, but I would say, watch out for the apology that's actually an excuse, that focuses the conversation away from how vulnerable you felt and towards his vulnerability. Where he says, fine, then I won't play with the dog at all since I can't do anything right. I must be a horrible person. And then it turns into you comforting him and telling him he's not bad, he's good. You know, I watched someone have a service dog placement terminated because their partner persisted in stroking and playing with the dog and distracting it after the dog had been given commands by the intended owner, disabled person. It went on for 2 weeks. The trainer, OTs, PTs, the disabled person all asked the partner not to play with or distract the service dog. The partner did a gorgeous southern smile and nod, and at the end of the 2 weeks, the trainer came to the gym without the dog and very politely and calmly notified the client, their partner, the family, the social worker, PT, and OT that the client had been removed from their list and blacklisted. All of their references had been notified and told why this had happened, and their information had been shared with all other mobility service dog organizations, so any service animal they wanted going forward, they would need to obtain and train privately. The entire gym, probably 15 other patients, families, OT, and PT teams, was silent and aghast. Service dogs are working animals. Their training costs a bomb. They have shortish working lives, and those of us who rely on them know they are medical necessities. You know who else knows and respects that? People who love us. People who like us and want us to be safe and happy. I'm tentatively glad that your boyfriend got it in the end, but I would not put money on him retaining it or the dog reaching its potential. I would be ecstatic to be wrong. Please thumb your nose at me in a year if I am. G'day there guys, and that's the end of today's episode. I do hope you enjoyed it and were entertained by today's bloody good content. As always, I want to do a quick shout out and a thank you to all my channel members and Patreon subscribers. Your beautiful faces and names will be up on screen right now. Haven't forgot about you guys, sorry I was taking a little break there. So yeah, if you see yourself, give yourself a pat on the back. If you want to be on this screen, there's links down in the description below where you can sign up and help support the channel and all future projects that I'm going to be doing on this one. With all that said, I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to. I'll see you in the next episode, and I do hope you enjoy it. Thank you.